Welcome to the FTN show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul, your host tonight. It's just me and Ricky Addington.
That's all you need. I'm just kidding. Where is everyone? I'm so sad.
We're pulling two-hander tonight. Yeah.
There's pressure now.
Yep, and look, towards the end of last year, I mentioned there's going to be some additional content coming on the show. That's from our friends at Rolling Bad. We're going to do some Age of Sigmar content coming up pretty soon, but it won't replace this show. Like, it won't replace our weekly show. It will just be in addition to. So, and it'll be clearly labeled. So if that's something that you would, don't want to download, then you don't have to or don't want to listen to. Some things auto download. People have it set up different ways, but just know that more stuff is coming, and we're making great advances to making it happen.
I love how you said that almost like you were warning someone that there was explicit content. It was like,
spoilers.
Look, guys, there's Sigmar content in here, so be careful. Like, if that's not your thing, yeah,
graphic and explicit. Content.
Sigmar content.
Cover your ear. The children must leave the room. Are the children out of the room? All right, now we can talk about.
There's going to be Sigmar in there.
Well, we're just trying to do more for the stuff, or with the stuff. And, this is one of those things, man. We are the Bell Lost Souls podcast. Necromunda. I have been talked to about Necromunda by 5 different people in 5 different conversations in the last 2 days.
Are you counting me in that? Because I talk about Necromunda a lot lately.
6 people in 2 days.
6. Yes, that's because it's the greatest game, dude. It's so good. If you have the time to invest in it and you don't mind building a new model every now and then for the same character, it is the best. But it's so fun, and it's got so many ways to engage in the hobby that 40k just doesn't allow you to do. For instance, we're running a campaign with my club, and my buddy's playing Van Sar. I'm playing Escher, and I took his leader captive after a fight. So I made a deal with him and told him we got it approved and everything, and so we made the deal that we were going to make a trade. So my Escher gang leader is now walking around with a Van Sar energy shield, and he got his gang leader back. So so I'm currently modeling that right now, and it's stuff
Sounds
like that.
A fair trade.
Yeah. And when you play in the campaigns, there's just a lot of fun that you can have with that game that you just can't necessarily do in a 40k, especially a tournament 40k setting. But it's fun once you get the rules down and you kind of get familiar with everything that's going on and the differences. I think it's just one of the most fun games that Games Workshop has.
I just want to use the alligator. Was it the Sump Croc?
Yes. You don't like the bomb delivery rats? That's not your jam?
I've seen those, but the alligator, what is it? Crocodile looks really cool.
Yeah. There's just so much fun stuff in that game. There's my favorite in there is you can basically buy cigarettes for what are they called, low sticks. You can buy them for your champion or your leader, and it specifically says that it looks cool to the dumber gangers. So basically, because you smoke, you look cool to the new recruits who don't know any better, and so they can use it basically inspires them, and it's fun little tidbits like that throughout the game. Or just it's really neat. But we've been having a blast with it, and it's really been making people make that drive to somebody else's house or wherever to meet up at the store or whatever and get games in and report it. And I don't know I've never really heard anybody else talking about this Yak Tribe. If you're playing Necromunda and not using Yak Tribe, I think you're a crazy person, because
I'll take a look at it. I mean, I'm again, just with other people playing around here, I might get into it. I'm not saying we're going to do a separate podcast or anything about it, but I do love the models.
Forge the Narrative, the Necromunda podcast.
we got a backlog of things. Lord of the Rings and
Lord of the Rings. So Chris will stop yelling at us for that. Necromunda, dual Titanicus in there. God, there's too many games, not enough time.
So we're going to talk about the Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle. That codex goes up for pre-order while right as you're hearing this show. Well, if you listen to it on that Saturday, it's up for pre-order.
So get to it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's get into it, man. There's some things in here. I wasn't sure how I felt about, or I'm still not, maybe you can convince me, a 9-point Sister of Battle. That's the average, the generic troop cost 9 points for a toughness 3 bolter wielding one moon model.
I don't know. It feels a bit pricey to me, but my buddy plays Sisters pretty hardcore, and he's never went like all the way in a GT, but I think the last tournament we were at, going into round 3, he was leading at a GT at a major event, and we were all standing around going, "What's happening? What's wrong here?" And because this was with the beta codex, and he was up there in first place. I get, he had good matchups, and he just cleaned the first 2 guys' clock, right? And then he ran into some, I think, Imperial Fist Centurions.
Yeah, that'll rough for anybody to deal with, though.
I'm pretty sure I was still deploying, and he come over and he said, "You guys ready for lunch?" And, it's kind of one of those things. So
let's talk about what you get for those 9 points, right? So toughness 3, 1 wound model, a bolter, 3+ armor save though, but you also get the Axe of Faith and the Shield of Faith, and then your Sacred Rites. So, maybe that starts to factor into the cost of the model. I think that's one of the things that is somewhat debatable, I think, on how these things shake out. But let's talk about the Axe of Faith. So for the miracle, you get miracle dice. So if your army contains at least 1 unit with this ability, you can perform 1 act of faith in each phase. So very similar to, how the command reserve, command restraints, whatever, the rule for match play works.
You can almost treat it like a stratagem, right? You get 1 per phase. The same way you could use a single stratagem once per phase. Like the command reroll, you can do it once per phase. You can do an act of faith once per phase.
To do so, you will use miracle dice. Miracle dice we're going to talk about how you get them, but they're basically, they go into a pool. So, you have to keep track of the pool. I suggest if you're playing them or playing against someone with them, request that they use only specific color or a specific set of dice for the miracles, because you have to, when you gain a miracle die, you gain 1 miracle dice at the beginning of each battle round, and you gain 1 at the end of each phase if 1 or the more of the following conditions are met 1 or more times during that phase. A unit from the army with Axe of Faith destroys an enemy unit. A character from your army with the Axe of Faith ability is destroyed. A psychic power is resisted by a unit from your army with the Axe of Faith ability without performing an act of faith to do so. That's kind of an interesting caveat. Or Valor, you roll an unmodified 1 for a morale test taken for a unit with the Axe of Faith without performing an Axe of Faith to do that. When you gain a miracle dice, roll 1d6. The number you roll is the value of that miracle dice. The value cannot be changed unless a rule states otherwise. So, there are going to be things in here that say the miracle dice becomes a 6 or something or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you go to perform an act of faith before making a dice roll for a model or unit with your army with the Axe of Faith ability, you can choose to use 1 or more of the dice from your miracle dice pool instead. So what you do is you replace, you take out, instead of rolling, you say, I'm going to pick the result from one of my miracle dice that I have saved up.
Right. And so you're essentially, was this not a mechanic that Tzeentch had in Sigmar? Is that what I'm thinking of? This wasn't in 40k, right? But this seemed like something that Tzeentch Demons or somebody had in Sigmar, where you would have these dice, you would roll them, and you would set them aside, and you could pick the value as you needed it throughout the game for certain things. It's a neat mechanic. And I like that it helps you get rid of some randomness, right? So that's pretty cool. So you can use things. You can get the roll you need when you need it.
So you can use it for advance rolls, charge roll, deny the witch test, hit rolls, wound rolls, saving throw, damage, a morale test.
So most things. Yeah. Not everything, but a lot of the things you're going to want to reroll or get a specific roll for, you're going to get it there. I would love to have this. Maybe my melta weapons would hit for once.
A miracle dice is not a modifier or an inherently modified dice. So, for example, if you use a miracle dice with a value of 1 for a miracle test, that is considered to be an unmodified roll of a 1. When re-rolling a dice, no new miracle dice may be substituted.
So just to clarify what that's saying is, let's say I get a +1 to hit or something, and I use a miracle dice that it's a 2. That's an unmodified 2, so the +1 to hit would make it a 3.
I think so, yes.
Okay, all right.
And then it goes on to say that when you do a reroll, the miracle dice can't be changed. So the number and the value of any miracle dice that have already been substituted in the dice roll remain the same for the reroll.
Okay.
So there's play there. Like there's
it's really good. Well, I mean, yeah, and I mean, look how a lot of people sometimes, or not a lot, but I know there's people out there that kind of overlook how great the utility of the Salamander's ability to reroll 1 hit roll and wound roll per turn is. So when you can use these to just change one result here and there in a squad, especially a squad that's carrying around a multi-melta, that's going to have a lot of value to it. And it's going to have a ton of value for your sisters when they go to charge and you need that long charge, right? And you just so happen to have a 6 in your miracle dice.
Yeah, charging, advancing to get an objective, and deny the witch. So the sisters can basically deny inherently.
Yeah, Shield of Faith will let them, but let's see, it's 1d6 to do it, right? So you're not going to deny everything.
Well, let's go down. So Sacred Rites. The Sacred Rites is kind of like the Canicles, except you get it once and then it's that way for the rest of the game. And you can choose to pick one, or you can roll 2 and take 2 randomly.
Ooh, boy, when the ones you want happen, that's great. But I'm having flashbacks to like 6th and 7th edition psychic power.
No, I think you always want to play. I think you're always going to pick one. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I was kind of looking at that and thinking, man, what army could I build where I just roll the dice? Literally.
Yeah.
Roll the dice.
Yeah. And you got a 1 in 3 chance of getting the one you want, and then you get an extra one, right?
Yeah. Here's the effects. When a unit with the Sacred Rite advances, add 1 to the advance roll. When you make a charge roll, for a unit with the Sacred Rite, add 1 to the result. That's the Hand of the Emperor.
That's never proven useful to any army ever, right? I mean, that's how many armies kill to have something like that. That's great.
Spirit of the Martyr. When a model with the Sacred Rite is destroyed, roll a 1d6 before removing the model. On a 5+, that model can either shoot with one of its ranged weapons, or if it was in your shooting phase, or make one attack in the melee weapons, if it were the fight phase. So it's like a built-in banner for the Marines.
Yeah. Problem is, I can't roll 5s, so that's not good.
Results may vary.
Yeah.
Aegis of the Emperor. When a deny the witch test is taken for a unit with the Sacred Rite, add 3 to the total.
That is good, especially when you pair it with Shield of Faith.
Yes, and it's very clearly it says out here, there are some things that say when you're making your army or whatever. This says determine which Sacred Rite is active for all units from your army with this ability at the start of the battle.
Yeah, so it's specific. You don't have to do this when you build your list and submit your list and everything. It's when you walk up to the table, look at lists and all that, and just like you're picking psychic powers and anything else like that.
Going for this Aegis of the Emperor.
Yeah.
Demon player.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's awesome. And I almost said if you're playing Grey Knights, you're not going to be playing against Grey Knights.
Not yet.
But not yet. But Thousand Suns, Grey Knights, demons, these armies that just you
just mentioned
taking all these smites. Yeah. These armies that are going to be smiting a lot.
Yeah.
You're going to have tons of
things like Warp Times and all the other stuff. Even Chaos Space Marines, I know, build in some demon tactics and can buff up, their stuff with psychic powers. But, I think this is, something very situational. And the +3, as you mentioned, will become really, really relevant. So the next one is Divine Guidance. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a model with this Sacred Rite, on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, the armor penetration characteristic of that weapon is improved by 1 for the attack.
I like that.
It is ranged weapons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to roll a 6. But I guess when you're throwing a bunch of bolter fire downrange.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be every time, but you know what I'm saying? It's when you get a lot of bolter shots going down range, something is going to hit, and you're going to roll a few 6s, and it's going to help.
I suppose. I don't know that I would pick this one, though. I mean, maybe I'm not disappointed if I roll it, but I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to pick this one.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's exciting when it happens, but you can't rely on it.
Yo, yeah, it definitely adds up. Like if that was just always on to where your stuff was just always -1 AP, I think that.
Yeah, I think that would be
take
much
it
more
every time,
exciting.
right? So this is probably balanced. I don't mean to necessarily be harshing on the design of it. Like if I'm rolling and I get something else and this, I'm not disappointed.
Yeah.
So the next one is the Passion. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon with a model with the Sacred Rite and unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. I
like that better. Yeah, I like that better. But that's cool that there's one with ranged and the one for melee. I like that.
Yeah, and then Light of the Emperor. When the morale test is taken for a unit with a Sacred Rite, you can re-roll the dice. I don't know that I would pick that one or be hot if I rolled it either.
Yeah. It's basically in They Shall Know No Fear, right?
Yeah, it is. But see, I mean, I think part of the strength of this codex is, we're just talking about the 9-point system. We'll get to the Shield of Faith in just one second. Not trying to, but minimum squad's 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get, and I think there's a way to flush out a brigade.
Oh, I think easily. I think you could easily knock a brigade out with this.
Yeah, and I mean, you can take things in the elite slot that are 18 points for a 2-man unit.
Yeah.
For the price of a multi-melta, you can have a whole force organization slot.
Yeah. So I think you're going to get it. For the price of a
twin link las cannon, you could flush out the elite slot in this brigade.
I mean, I think the Triumph of St. Catherine is the most expensive thing in the army, right? So, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. But most of the stuff in this army is down there. It doesn't seem very hard at all to me to get.
You have a bunch. So you get a bunch of CPs and stuff. I mean, I think there's ways to do this. And now what you use it on, I don't know. We'll get there. So the Shield of Faith, in addition, models in this unit have a 6+ invulnerable save.
So already, there you go. You got an invul.
It's a 6, but that's way better than a lot of other things have.
Well, against a melta gun, hey, it's better than the nothing they were getting.
Right. So the 3+ armor save and an invulnerable save.
Yeah. So now you're getting, now you're starting to see the points. Are they worth it? It's
the value of a 9-point figure. Maybe it is. In addition, one model in this unit can attempt to resist 1 psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase in the same manner as a psyker by taking a Deny the Witch test. If that model is within 24 inches of the enemy model manifesting the psychic power, when taking the Deny the Witch test, roll 1d6 instead of 2d6. The psychic power is resisted if the roll is greater than the result of the psychic test that manifested the power. 1d6.
So it's not great, but it's something, right?
There are a lot of powers out there, including my beloved Blood Angels, that have like a 5 and 6 as casting cost for some really great powers.
Yeah.
And
the problem is that this has to be greater than, which means if it's 6, you're not getting greater than, so it's what out there is 5.
I think Wings of Sanguinus is 5.
Right.
Now, I don't know.
Smite.
I'm not saying you want to burn it on that. A lot of the Eldar powers are 6s and 7s.
Yeah.
So that +3 from the
Aegis
Sacred
of the Emperor
Rite starts to come in.
Yeah, and that's so to me that part of Shield of Faith is pretty meh, right? But if you've got Aegis of the Emperor on them, and now all of a sudden it's 3 plus D6, potentially getting 9 when you're going against psyker heavy armies, that could be huge.
Let's go one step further. I almost consider that free. Like this is a free ability. Like if it just said 6+ invulnerable save and stopped there, no one's going to complain.
Yeah, no, that alone is good.
And then when you can take a miracle dice to get that 6 or whatever number you need that's going to get your +3, I only need to burn my 5 or my 4 to deny this out of my miracle pool.
Yeah,
let's do it.
And let's see here, it's got to be resisted, right? Sorry, I was looking over at Purity. A psychic power is resisted by a unit from your army with the Acts of Faith ability without performing an act of faith. So if somebody rolls to smite and they get a 5 and you get a 6 with your Shield of Faith, you get a miracle die back.
You roll that up, maybe another 6 to bang.
Yeah. So you never know, so there's something there. But if I
don't think you're ever gonna deny something of significance. Now, I mean, you might, right? But I don't think you're able to do it without going into it and buffing it in some way.
Right. Yeah. The where I see this being pretty darn useful is if you're going up against an army that's just going to be throwing out a lot of smites, because that's...
I don't know, man. See, like warp time, I mean, so you'd only have to burn a 5 out of your miracle pool if you had the +3.
Yeah. What I'm saying is when your units are there denying, it farms more miracle dice for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. I see what you mean.
If you're going against a psychic heavy army, you get the double whammy of potentially denying a fair amount of their powers, protecting yourself, hopefully by denying some of these smites that are inevitably going to come your way, and generating miracle dice while doing it. I think that is situationally quite useful.
I don't want to overplay it either. I know that like most warp time is not cast on a 7; it's a cast on a 9, 12, or whatever.
Yeah,
like I get it, but I'm just saying that probably more than you may recognize, powers go off at a lower number, even if it's just the number that they need to roll, because a lot of 2d6 rolls an average of 7.
Yeah.
So there's hope out there, and I think you can build a strategy around it, and especially since you don't have to choose your sacred rite until the beginning of the battle for this, what I consider this free power you're getting.
Yeah. If I had to build a list, and set this like before the event that I went to, I would never take it. But
I mean, I don't know. Actually, I mean, +3, it's consistent. That's probably one of the most consistent things.
Yeah, I mean, you're rolling. Let's see, what, 3, 4 on average. Yeah, I mean, you're 6 and 7, so what, 6.5?
Yeah.
If you want to get right down to it, is kind of your average on that. So, I mean, you're likely going to stop a few things over the course of a game.
Yeah, there's a lot of getting into the HQ section. There's the 2 non-name characters are the Canonist,
Missionary, I believe.
The Missionary, yeah. The rest are. I mean, it seems like it's chock full of special characters, which is not bad. Especially Celestine, great model, still useful, still relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Not as cool as just the long bomb moving she used to do.
Oh yeah, she was. She was infuriating before. I think they backed her off a little. She's still solid though.
Yeah,
man.
got 6 wounds, 2+ save, 4+ invulnerable save, and she comes back on a 2+ the first time she dies at full wounds.
That stupid sword has killed me so many times. Like it's a flamethrower, man. Like I always forget that it has that assault automatically. Yeah, I'm like, and here she shoots her flamethrower sword at me. I've died so many times to that sword before I can get to her. Yeah, she's still great. I love her. You can't have an army. You can't have a sister's army without her. It's just wrong.
I think if you're going to be pushing up forward with anything, that you're going to want her. I mean, she is swinging 6 attacks at strength 7, 2 damage, neg 3.
It's not insubstantial.
And she comes back. I mean, like, people, she comes back, at the end of the phase, so you can't just double kill her.
You can't. Well, so here's the thing. How do the mechanics work at the end of the phase? Is it the player? Which player gets to choose what happens with things that happen at the end of the phase?
I would go with whoever's turn it is.
Right. So in that case, if you honor the chapter, that's at the end of the phase, right?
You mean the
to attack again? So like Space Marines have honor.
That's at the end. Yeah, end of the combat phase. Yeah.
So potentially you stand her up and then honor the chapter.
Because she's more than 1 inch away, so you would have already consolidated at that point.
Oh, honor the chapter doesn't let you pile in and do it, right?
Well, you do get to.
Yeah, you pile in. You're still allowed to pile in.
I guess. Yeah. If you charged her, if you charged her and then did it and then honored the chapter, I think let's put that on the fact watch.
Yeah. If you didn't charge, you're not allowed to pile in if you're not locked in. So if you charge that turn, you're allowed to pile in, fight, and consolidate if you get that chance, right? So if she stands back up, if you kill her at the end of the phase, you force her to do her end of the thing first. She stands up, then you pay the CP, honor the chapter, pile in again, and attack again.
That's an interesting pacing of things. I think that should be explored if it isn't already.
I swear there's an FAQ somewhere that addresses the order in which things happen, if they happen concurrently, if they happen at the same time. I cannot remember. I want to say that the player whose turn it is controls the order in which those happen, but I cannot remember.
We will figure it out. So the Triumph of St. Catherine is that just absolutely epic model. There's a diagram up on the, I don't know if it's the Warhammer 40k Facebook page or the community page that has like all the bits and pieces and stuff broken down or whatever you can see. And I'm 18 wounds, 4+ invulnerable save, neg 1 to hit.
It's gorgeous.
That's kind of an interesting thing. It's like, it's toughness 3. So if you just, pay attention to it, it's going to lose wounds.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's got 18 wounds, so you're going to have to pay a bit of attention to it.
Yeah, and each time it has 5 relics to start, and that's all the 5 special abilities that it has. And then as it loses wounds, it loses relics. So and that first clip, it gets down to 5 wounds, it gets down to 9 wounds, and it loses 3 relics.
Yeah, that's tough.
So it's I think this will be interesting to see if it works its way into the list, because I think that if you're not going first, I think it's a big shiny model that people will attempt to put some wounds on just because it's there.
Yeah, good luck hiding it,
Yeah. But it's only 185 points. It is less than 200 points, like maxed out. Like there's no extra points, no extra war gear. It's just 185 points. So for a big sack of wounds that gets, 11, 12 special abilities, who cares if it gets some heavy bolt of fire?
Yeah. I mean, and don't forget, it's a 3-up armor save with a 4-up invul, and you're -1 to hit it. So, there's a lot there. And if you get it in cover, then it's a 2-up armor save with a 4-up invul. Like really the only thing that has me concerned about it is that it's T3. Yeah. If it was even T4, it would be so much scarier, I think, or not scary, but like it would be so much more viable. Whereas the T3 just, it's like a guard squad can take this thing out in a turn or two. That's what's kind of, it
gains you a miracle dice.
Yeah.
At the start of each turn. So that's a bonus miracle that you roll a die, right? And now, even if you get a 1, you can still use those 1s for morale test. Like there's things you can do, like even if you don't roll, like you're not always just fishing for 6s for this, which I think is a good mechanic.
Yeah. Should we go over this and actually cover all the stuff? We talked about the relics, but we didn't really say what each of them did.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's see here. So, first it's got the 4-up invul, -1 for it to be hit. And then morale tests taken for friendly units within 6 inches of it are automatically passed. So we've got that. And then the relics. These are, and you pick, right, when it suffers damage, you select which of the relics go away. So that's something you and your opponent will have to learn to track easily. But let's go down through here. So Censer of the Sacred Rose. At the start of each turn, gain 1 miracle dice. So automatically right there, fantastic. Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice. At the start of your shooting phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of this model, adding 1 to the result if the unit being rolled for is a Psyker, and 1 to the result if the unit being rolled for is a Chaos unit. On a 5+, the unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's...
I don't mind it that it's there, but I just don't think it's going to get much use. I think if you're already that close, then you're probably already given... You've already sacrificed... This relic has already been sacrificed if you hit your half wounds part.
Yeah. Let's see here. Petals of the Bloody Rose. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by models and friendly Adeptus Sororitas units, whilst their unit is within 6 inches of this model.
That's interesting. I think you have to kind of build a bubble. If you're going to do that, you have to build almost a counter assault type army. This thing only moves 6 inches.
Not fast.
Well, that means it's somewhat difficult to keep up with the Celestine and the Zephyrim or whoever that you've got moving fast in the army.
Yeah. Now, if you just, you go hard into Arcoflagellants or something like that, then... if you've got just all these throwaway models with the flagellants, maybe Repentia, stuff like that, it could be, it could be exciting.
Yeah, and you can do that. So the stuff that we're talking about, we mentioned everything is kind of low point wise. because these are, you're not paying a premium for that toughness 3 outside of the sister, like the regular sister of battle, if you ask me.
Yeah. Let's see here. Squad. And let's see here. Last one, Simulacrum of the Argent Shroud. Oh, wait, I skipped one here. Sorry. Icon of the Valorous Heart. Once per phase, you can perform 1 act of faith for a friendly unit within 6 inches that has the Acts of Faith ability, even if you have already performed 1 or more acts of faith in that phase. So that's pretty exciting because it lets a single unit do 2 acts of faith in a turn.
Or you get a second, because you only do one per phase. So, like, if you already did a 6 to hit or a 6 to wound or something, and you want somebody else to 6 to wound, then knock yourself out if you're within range of this thing.
See here, and then Simulacrum of the Argent Shroud. When you perform an act of faith for a friendly unit whilst it is within 6 inches of this model, you can increase or decrease the value of 1 miracle dice used by 1 before you use it to a maximum of 6 and a minimum of 1. This is not cumulative with any other abilities that can increase or decrease the value of miracle dice.
That's useful.
Yeah, it's the 6 inches is what kind of makes it tough, is where you really just got to have this thing up in there.
Yeah, but or you're building the counter assault, or you've got your Exorcist all lined up around this thing in a wall of Bolter Sisters they have to get through. There's things you can do, and if it's down to one unit's got to live, let me boss that invulnerable save. I just got a 6.
And with honestly, every sister squad has flamers in it, so they're already kind of scary to charge in the first place. And then if you're all of mine will. But
think about that, though. You get this double acts of faith thing. You're like 6 on this invulnerable, 6 on that invulnerable. Now they're there. Now you did not kill that unit, so you can't break through to touch all my stuff.
Yeah. Being there and being able to.
And then I do a 6 in the morale phase, so they go away. So now you can't bottleneck them, and now you're getting shot.
Oh yeah, that is something to think about going ahead and just burning. If you try to wrap them up, just ought to make yourself fail and take them off the table. Yeah. I had somebody use their command die on me at the last tournament to kill his dude because I had him all surrounded and he couldn't get out. And he made his morale, and I was like, yeah, and he went, I'm going to re-roll that. And I went, oh. I always forget that you could do that because it's so counterintuitive. But yeah, that would. It's
not the sidetrack.
So useful sometimes. Yeah,
playing in a test game, getting ready for these tournaments and stuff, and I forgot to charge with my scouts, and this is in the third round of combat to where we already have an existing combat turn happening, like between Death Company and Demon Prince.
Right.
I forgot to charge with my scouts, and we start fighting, or we go to the combat phase, and I'm like, man, I forgot to charge with my scouts. Do you mind if I go ahead and just charge with them? He's like, why do you want to do that? I was like, well, good point. And he's like, yeah, because if you had charged with them, you would have had to fight with them first, and then I could have interrupted with my Demon Prince and killed your Death Company before you killed me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's why we play test. That is why we play test.
You're just filing that one away in the vault.
I normally think about, at least I'd like to believe that I think about that stuff more often
right, yeah.
Than I do. But it honestly did not even, I just wanted to charge in there and get closer to that objective, and it put the blinders on me about what I really should be doing.
Yeah.
And so when it comes time to do that, to loop us back into this conversation, to when you really want that 6, and so they can't take your battle sister hostage, and so therefore preventing your 3 Exorcists from firing on them, or your Emulators or whatever, then remember you got that in your back pocket and just make them run away.
I normally think about things like that.
And she didn't die.
When they're doing that to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I normally think about that sort of thing when it's happening to me instead of
I should really do that.
Yeah. What a great idea. I'll remember that for next time. Yes. And then next time comes around and I say, what a great idea. I should remember that for next time.
See, and your narrative experience is like, she didn't die. She just got beamed up to the Emperor.
Yeah, there you go. She is ascended.
So let's talk about Judith.
All right.
Captain. She's basically she's a Space Marine captain.
Yeah.
She's better than a Space Marine captain. She has 7 wounds, moves 10 inches, and everyone around her, she has the fiery conviction, reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by models in friendly order of our martyred lady units within 6 inches of this model. Now, we're going to talk about the orders in a bit, but if you want to get out there and get some business done in the assault phase, Judith is where it's at.
Yeah, and it's a pretty intimidating model.
Yeah, she has a 4+ invulnerable save, 7 wounds, toughness 4, so that that dice is giving her something. 2+ weapon skill and ballistic skill, and she moves 10 inches. Now she has a heavy flamer on there, so I don't know why she's so good at shooting. She's
Yeah, ballistic skill of 2+ with your 2 heavy flamers. So, yeah, good job there. But who cares, right? It's 2 heavy flamers. She's moving 10 inches with 2 heavy flamers. And then, actually, like, that mace is pretty okay, too. It's not bad.
No, the Mace of Castigation is +2 strength, giving her strength 5, which is relevant. Neg 1 AP, 2 damage apiece. So, she has 4 attacks. And I don't see her as, being a truck in and of herself, but she can buff up everything around you, including, the pulpit of the St. Helene's Basilica. The invulnerable save, I guess a friendly Adeptus Sororitas infantry models receive the Shield of Faith ability is improved by 1 to a maximum of 4+. So I lead you to believe you can buff it even more. So, I mean, everybody around her is getting a 5+ invulnerable save without any other investment.
Now, all of a sudden, some 9-point models are looking much better. With a 3-up, 5-up,
well,
that's
I think
pretty
you're pushing her forward with other things. I mean, I think this is a get out there and do something. I mean, with 7 wounds, a 4+ invulnerable save, and then the 3+ armor save, and being a character to get a little bit of insulation from other things. Got the fly keyword, also relevant. Yeah, I like the model. I like what the character does. We can talk about what our martyred lady does in a few minutes.
I like her haircut.
Oh, and this thing is like rich with bits.
I want those heavy flamers like under a Ravenwing land speeder. That's what I want.
Oh yeah, I like the skeletons on the side of these things. Yeah.
That thing is cool.
I can see that dice being used for lots of stuff.
Yeah, I mean well, it's a little ostentatious, but I think it's worth it. I'm going to be amazed if a Custodes army doesn't have that somewhere. Somebody's going to convert that up because it kind of looks like the front grille of a Custodes bike as it is.
So Judith is 110 points. Celestine is 160 points. We talked about the Triumph being 185 points. So those are a little bit on the pricey side. We got the Canoness, who we did just kind of gloss over, but a little more customizable, but it starts out at 45 points. And then the Missionary is a very affordable 38 points. I don't think the Missionary has a lot of, I may take flack for this, but I don't think it has a lot of stuff that it can bring to the Sisters Army. I think you're going to want some of the other stuff a little bit better. But it is a really cheap HQ slot, but you can only take one of them. So it has the lone mission. If your army is battle forged, no more than one Missionary can be included in any detachment. So you couldn't just stock up on them for the brigade. You gotta go Canoness.
I mean, match play, you're getting 3 of them max, but the thing that allows you to do is if you do need if you want to bring, some specific specialist detachment, you've got a nice cheap unit there to do it with. But I mean, it does have Zealot. It's got Warhams. So your assault units, you've got a very cheap character that you can throw in there and give, I keep talking about the flagellants, start giving, if you're giving flagellants +1 attack.
Yeah, the sisters have the Adeptus Ministorum keyword. So they are Adeptus Ministorum infantry, so they could benefit from the +1 attacks.
Yeah. So you can, it's one of those things where if you wanted to go hard into assault, you could throw it in there and get some extra attacks out of your assault units. I think that's where it's going to do any work.
Yeah, I mean for 38 points, it's a 4-wound character with a 4+ invulnerable save that can get some more efficiency out of your other units.
Yeah, and in ITC, it's a 38-point way for you to give up a headhunter.
But that's the risk of all.
Yeah.
The codexes aren't built for that type of stuff. I shouldn't say that they aren't, but the missions are built around this kind of stuff. And that's what it is. You take a bunch of support characters and you get sloppy with them, you're going to give up some points. Like I've never written a mission where that hasn't, been a detriment to you, but you got to go into it knowing that's the case and play around it. I know that's easier said than done, but especially when you have aggressive characters. So if your characters have to be up there within range, especially 6-inch range, you better make sure what they're supporting is enough to protect them. Well, let's take a quick break. Then we'll come back and we may have time to cover some of the orders. And, we've been talking about the Exorcist and haven't really described what it does and a few other things in this book.
Shoots things.
See you in a minute.
Cool.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
We are back, everybody.
Why are these things so hard to say?
For us, anyway.
Yeah, my country accent sitting here trying to say Zephyrim, Seraphim, Dialogus.
You're doing great. That's pretty good, I think.
I went to college for this sort of thing, and I'm hurting, man. I'm starting to wonder what I paid for.
The Sisters Repentia, cool models, 13 points apiece. Without war gear. So what is it? Is equipped with Penitent Eviscerator.
I like that sword.
It's a 0-point upgrade. Well, it's not an upgrade. It's 0-point war gear. So
I mean, it is what they are. You know, it's basically a sword with some legs on it because there's not much else to the model, right? It's
These guys, they got their 6+ invulnerable save stock, unbuffed, and then they've got a 5+ feel no pain. But they have no other save.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be they're gonna be tough to keep alive.
Yeah, I mean, if let's say you've got Judith around, right, and then that'll put them up to a 5-up. So a 5-up invul with a 5-up feel no pain. Okay, that a couple of them might get there.
You can take a Repentia Superior that lets them re-roll their charge and I think advance rolls. Yeah, advance rolls. And we will re-roll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by their melee weapons. Their melee weapons are strength 6, because they're ×2 strength, neg 3 AP, damage 2. But they are neg 1 to hit, because they're the unwieldy chainswords, Power Fist. So I think there's some better options if you want a strong assault element. So let me just jump right into the Zephyrim squad.
Yes, because I like them.
I like these. So the Zephyrim squad, they're a little bit more pricey because each one of them comes with a power sword. 17 points a model, but they have jump packs, and they have a 3+ armor save. They get the Axe of Faith, Sacred Rites, and Shield of Faith. Then you can buy the Zephyrim Penitent, which is 5 points. This is, you can reroll charge rolls made for order units while they're within 6 inches of any friendly unit with a Zephyrim Penitent when the roll is made. That includes themselves or people around them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's worth 5 points, Paul. Yeah.
Well, technically, it's that's 22 points to get that because you got to have the person that it's on.
Right, but that person, let's see here, does not give up. Every bottle is equipped with bolt pistol, power sword, frag grenades, crack grenades. So as long as you don't give them a plasma pistol instead of a bolt pistol, just looking at the war gear here, they're not giving up anything, right? So they still have their power sword and their bolt pistol. And they take a pennant for 5 extra points that lets their unit and any unit within 6 inches of them re-roll charges. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they have Sky Strike, so they can drop in wherever they need to be on turn 2 when maybe your ground forces are getting close enough to make that charge. They can drop down and help motivate them to get in there. So that's awesome.
And it gets better. They have Rapturous Blows. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in this unit, you can re-roll the wound roll. These models are strength 3. So re-rolling the wound roll is an impressive buff. When you're basically fishing for 5s most of the time, I think. But the re-roll, I mean, you're going to get significantly more of them.
Yep. And don't forget Angelic Visage. The invulnerable save models in this unit received from the Shield of Faith ability is improved by 1 to a maximum of 4+.
So that's how we're getting to that 4+.
Yeah.
We've now taken it from 6 to 4 just by taking these models.
Yeah, so we're at 6 to 5 here, all right? And then if they are within 6 inches of Judith, you're at a 3-up armor, 4-up invul, 2 attacks apiece on these, re-rolling charge rolls, deep striking if they need to.
Re-rolling charge rolls for not just them, for everybody around them. So if you take these models are on the 17-point side, I told you, a little bit expensive, but there's also the Seraphim squad and the fast attack. So again, if you're trying to build towards that brigade, you got options.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. These ladies have first off, they're going to be way tougher than first glance, right? Cause it's situational, where they land.
Sometimes the invulnerable save won't matter. You just rolled. Yeah. You just tanked all your rolls and they're gone.
Well, yeah, because remember, I play Harlequins, which is all about a 4-up invul save, right? And I know how quickly that can vanish. Playing a T3 unit with a 4-up invul is tough. So, T3 with a 6-up or 5-up is scary, without having some ways to protect them.
Well, the T3 means 17% more stuff is wounding you.
Yeah.
So you've got to tank way more than you normally would if you were T4 or better. But being able to get up to that 4+ invulnerable save with things that you probably should be taking anyway, I mean, it's not a sacrifice then. Then it's just what your army does.
Yeah. Well, you know how you can avoid getting shot by a bunch of units, and that's to make all your charge rolls and get in there. And guess what? They're going to make their charge rolls.
Yeah, and when you're coming out of 9-inch range, you're not getting those auto hits from flamers and stuff.
Yeah.
Most flamers anyway.
Raven Guard. And then if you
and you could also go back. Yes, that's it. Going back to the Hand of the Emperor, get the +1 charge. So
now you're an 8-inch.
Re-rolling 8s on a charge. The math is pretty good on that. Let me see if I can. Needing an 8-inch charge with a full re-roll gets you in 66% of the time.
And then you really don't even have to worry about it. Can you use your miracle dice after a re-roll?
No, the miracle dice, you have to choose what it is, and then if you re-roll, the miracle dice would have stayed the same.
Okay. But you got your miracle dice there. Yeah.
Because, just whatever you like, I won't get this. One of these is going to be a 6, so I got to roll what? A 2?
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't jinx myself. Please let me roll a 2, please.
Talking to the two guys who come up with the command point support group for re-rolling a 2 into a 1. So let's not jinx that.
We were talking about earlier, again, how to build out the cheapest thing. So all in the elite slots, you've got your Crusaders, your Magifiers, your all these kind of low figure count squads, and a lot of that retinue of stuff. If you take one of these characters, that means that. Let me see what it says. The Crusaders, the Ecclesiarchy Battle Conclave. If you take a priest, then the Crusaders don't take up a slot in your force org. So how do you fill out that brigade? You don't take the priest.
Yeah, we were talking about that. My buddy and I were talking about that when we got the codex, because I was like, well, that kind of hoses you if you're trying to use them in a brigade, right? But there's so many elites in this book that I think you'll probably be okay. You'll find some other things to use, because the Hospitaller is cool, the Dialogist, the Magifier. Those are units with some cool rules. So
the Arcoflagellants, now they've been competing in years past with the Repentia because of the fact that Repentia, of course, stronger, better AP, better damage, and the Arcoflagellants don't have a very good save either. They actually have a worse. They don't get this Shield of Faith. They don't get an invulnerable save. They don't get an armor save.
Yeah, they've just got a Berserk Killing Machine, so they've just got the 5-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah, but they have 2 wounds apiece.
Yep.
For 13 points, so same points. Something to consider, especially if you're fishing around for things to fill out that brigade with. Although the elite slot the elite slot is the biggest slot in this, or the most congested thing in this codex.
Yeah, and tons of special rules and auras and stuff that come out of those elite slots. So I think there's going to be a lot of theory crafting and list building and stuff that's going to really revolve around what you pull out of your elite slots.
So let's go. The Exorcist. I've been dying to talk about this thing.
We got to talk. You can't not talk about the Exorcist.
It's pretty. The Exorcist the chassis is 90 points, and then the rocket launchers, I believe, are 70 points. Yeah, the Exorcist missile launcher is 70, so it's 160 points right off the line.
So the Exorcist missile launcher is 70 points, and then the Exorcist conflagration rockets are 40 points.
So, wow. That's pretty significant change. Now, look, I'm going to tell you why you don't want the conflagration rockets, but that does take it down to 130 points.
Yeah. Okay. Now, why do you not want those rockets?
All right. Well, so, I shouldn't say you never want them, because if you're taking 3 of these things, maybe you do want the extra volume of fire, because the Exorcist conflagration rockets, 48-inch range, pretty good. 3d6 shots. There is a ton of variation in that.
I wouldn't call it old reliable. No.
Strength 5, neg 2 AP, 1 damage apiece. Now, these vehicles get the Axe of Faith, the Sacred Rites, and the Shield of Faith. So, I mean, they get some bonus rolls on top of being a toughness 8, 12 wound model with a 3+ armor save.
Yeah, that Shield of Faith is way more annoying than you think about at first, because it's a T8 tank. So right there, you're T8 already. And then, you run in there and you shoot it with your melter or whatever, and you think, ha ha ha. And then all of a sudden somebody starts making some Shield of Faith rolls.
Yep.
And you're
or Miracle that 6 in there.
Yeah, you're like, I hate you.
Cool story, Melta guy.
Yeah. Oh, you got that Melta? That's sweet. I guess, oh, no, it didn't go through. Bummer. So, yeah, it is frustrating to deal with. 12 T8 wounds is tough. So the Exorcist is, you're going to get a few shots off with it. It's not going to get popped before you want it to, usually. The Exorcist missile launcher, can we just say, from everyone out there who even remotely cares about Sisters of Battle to Games Workshop, thank you for making the missile launcher 3D3.
Yeah, 3D3. So the Exorcist missile launcher, 3D3, strength 8, neg 3 AP, D6 damage.
Yeah, man, my Marine.
That's why I think that you have all other kind of options in your army that are good at killing things that a strength 5, neg 2 AP weapon is good at killing.
Yeah.
That you need to be stacking up on stuff that's just like, sometimes there's going to be some games where you roll 9 shots and 54 damage.
Yes. It's going to be that one game.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
And then you set them aside and you retire them, and you never pick up the dice again, because that was your perfect game. Yeah. So it's when that happens, like, you're untouchable, right? You're the greatest 40k player in the world. Now, when you get 3 shots at 1 damage apiece, that's going to hurt. But
so. Yeah, this is where we start thinking like Judith, the bonus she gives to invulnerable saves is only to infantry, so it wouldn't help the tank.
Right.
But the reroll 1s to hit and wound are for attacks made by models in the order of our Martyred Lady.
Yeah, so that's anything.
Yeah, like you've been doing with your Harlequins recently, about you have a detachment that is that one mask and you got one that's another. Mm-hmm. You're going to really have to make some choices, I think. I think this is a stout character, and if you can make a case for the Martyred Lady order, then you're going to see a lot of her.
Yeah, and she's just... The model's so cool anyway. You're going to see a lot of her. Honestly though, like the Exorcist is strength 8. You're going to wound a lot as it is. So maybe I'm going to just have a canoness standing in the middle of those 3 Exorcists and let Judith go do some work up front. But remember, a canoness is a much cheaper option. That's going to be able to stand back there and do that for you.
She has the Canoness has the Lead the Righteous, which reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by the friendly order units.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
But the Exorcist is, to me, leaps and bounds better than it was before.
12 wounds, T8, invulnerable save, other buffs if from the sacred rites. And you can act of faith with it.
And there's other stuff in here. We've got there's some stratagem stuff that we'll get to and everything that will also help it. But simply by virtue of it going to 3d3 shots, that alone makes the Exorcist so much better than it was before. And hey, a little bit of variety in the rockets, a cheaper version if you want that, great. Don't know that I do, because it still unfortunately needs line of sight. So
but it's always needed line of sight. But who cares? Yeah. You can put it out there with some confidence with its invulnerable save and its impressive toughness. Yeah.
The only thing I would like to have seen on the conflagration rockets is that they didn't need line of sight. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean. Yeah,
if those, just like the Imperial Knights missile launchers, there's one that doesn't need line of sight and there's one that does and is stronger. I would like to have seen those conflagrations give them some indirect fire, basically, to be able to get back there behind cover from range. And I think that would have been a good alternative to the Exorcist missile launcher, to the Exorcist missile launcher, if the conflagration rockets had that indirect fire capability.
I just think that yes, I guess that would be great, but you've got things that, like, for instance, we've been talking about the Blood Angels, is that I don't feel like I need indirect because I've got so much to reach out and touch somebody, and you've got that with the Sisters stuff too. They have 2 jump pack assault squads.
Yeah, I guess when you look at it that way, way, you're going to have units that get back there. So yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, yes, I see for overall utility, sure, but I just don't see you as needing that as a tool in your toolbox. But again, I also don't see a need for taking that profile in the army. I think you just want to be firing those strength 8. I mean, come on, you might get enough shots to, if you killed everything that has a T5 or higher in your opponent's army, you can still do some damage to smaller units as well. I mean, this thing mercs Primaris units.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Exorcist missile launcher kills everything. What is it not a threat to, you know? So, and the best thing about having 3 Exorcists in your army is you know exactly what your opponent is going to go for. You know, you can plan for that. Okay, I have 3 of these tanks. That's going to buy me a turn or 2 of shooting.
Yeah, if 2 make it through round 1, then my opponent is blanked their entire turn.
Yeah, because they will punish you if you leave them on the table. They've got the range, they've got the strength, they've got the damage, everything. It's a great weapon profile, and just the potential to take 9 shots, 9 strength AP minus 3 shots, and eat that. That is very scary to a lot of armies.
Yeah, agreed. Very much agreed. I talked briefly about the Emulators earlier. The Emulator's 100 points. It's 70 for the chassis and then 30 for the Emulator Flamer.
I like Emulators. However, there is an important nerf that we've got with the Emulators and how people use them in relation to the Dominion Squad.
Yeah, so the Dominion Squad has Vanguard, which means they can move before, the start of the first battle round. And in the 2018 chapter approved where the beta codex was, and basically in every other version of the Sisters that we've seen up to this point, you could move the transport that they were in if everyone embarked in the transport had the keyword. That's disappeared now from the Dominion Squad's Vanguard ability, because you can't do that with a transport anymore.
Right. So that first turn before you ever get a chance to do anything moment when 3 Emulators and 3 Dominion Squads roll up and all of a sudden you eat 6 Flamer shots or whatever it was, all of that into your face. That's no longer there. So that was a big hit to some Sisters lists that really took advantage of that. It was powerful. So that's important to note that unfortunately you're not going to be able to do that again as a Sisters player.
Yeah, it's interesting. That will require a little change up. So the Emulator, that was one of the big benefits of having it. But, it does have 2d6 auto hits on the heavy flamer.
Yeah, I think it's still solid. It's still,
the Emulator flamer is also 12 inches. So that is, you're basically always getting it. They can't not be out in range to charge you and you not get the 2d6.
Yeah. I mean, you put a couple of these in front of a unit that you're wanting to charge, and, somebody's going to have to eat something or they're going to have to shoot it off the table. But, it's, okay, so your super cool Trixie move up there and shoot turn 1 is gone, but at the end of the day, you still have a transport that holds 6 infantry. It's, got a 12-inch flamer, 3 up save, 6 up invul. I still like it. I just that one trick with the Dominion Squad is gone.
Yeah, and that is that was something you often saw, so that will require some list tinkering if that's what you were doing before, because I don't think you'll be as happy with the Emulators that start in your lines if you were used to them getting up there.
I mean, it's still got a 24-inch threat range though, right? Well, actually, because they're assault, 24 plus D6 threat range with those flamers. So that's still scary. That's still pretty darn good.
You can put pressure on things. I mean, it's a Rhino chassis, so it's, sometimes it's a Rhino chassis with an invulnerable save.
Yeah.
And that 6 up invulnerable does throw the math off a lot of things. I mean, I know we've talked about the Impulsor and stuff in the past, and how the 4+ invulnerable save is you don't even need to take it, because by the time you put a 2+ armor save on, and if it has the barest amount of cover or whatever, with that number of wounds, that it's going to be there for a while. But on a 12 wound model, it's a little bit different. And the invulnerable save, I think even on a 6 is going to play out to buy you a turn or 2 extra presence. Sorry, it's a 10 wound model, not a 12 wound. 10 wound model, 10 to 7.
Yeah, and the thing to remember is, are you going to count on a 6-up save? No, but when you have a 6-up save, your opponent has to take into account the fact that it's never a guarantee that that melt-a-gun is going to kill you, right?
It may take one more las cannon.
Yeah,
and
especially when you have miracle dice.
Yeah.
I need to hold this objective. I have to hold this objective. Okay, well, eat this melt-a-gun. No, I won't. How about no? I have a 6 here.
Yeah. So, and especially in kill more and like ITC missions and stuff, like denying someone that kill more.
100%. They got to just kill one unit, or they have to get one more to get that extra point. No, you can deny that, and that makes a huge difference when you can control that kind of when you can control your opponent's points like that in ITC. That's a big deal. So I like the Emulator, especially if you're setting the Emulator on an objective and somebody has to try to come get it, and you've got 12-inch heavy flamers, sitting on that thing. Their assault unit's going to really have to want it.
Yeah. Or they're having to dedicate, a Banginius to deny Overwatch on your Rhino.
Yeah. That's great.
Probably not where they want to be investing that character.
Yeah.
Let's go with the order convictions. Yep. So the strength of faith. If your army is battle forged, all troop units in the Adeptus Sororita detachment gain the ability. If a unit with the ability is within range of an objective, so they basically count as objective secured,
right.
Something we see in all the codexes. Then we get into the order convictions. So the Order of our Martyred Lady gain 1 miracle dice at the end of any phase other than the morale phase in which any units with this conviction were destroyed. This is in addition to any miracle dice gained at the end of a phase in which a character unit with the Acts of Faith ability was destroyed. In addition, when resolving an attack made by a model with this conviction, add 1 to the hit roll if 1 or more models from that model's unit have been destroyed in this battle, even if they have been subsequently returned to the battlefield.
It almost benefits you to lose a model.
Yeah.
Especially if you're taking what's the heavy support? Your Retributor squad might want to take a couple ablative wounds there, and you get that extra to attack when one of them bites it.
Yeah, and that's shooting or melee.
Yeah.
And you're getting like miracle dice falling out of the sky. You're going to get more than you need. You'll have more miracle dice than you need.
I like that you're, it is a resource that you're going to have to manage, but I like that it's something that's going to ebb and flow for you. You get
to fish for those numbers you want. You'll have it's like give me the 9 iron, please.
It is going to be I can imagine it being frustrating for a sister's opponent when the whole dice mechanic that makes Warhammer kind of doesn't happen for the sisters when they need it to. That's pretty neat. And I can see me being very frustrated when I'm like, oh, you need to roll a 6. And they go, oh, well, here's the 6.
But you got to create these situations to where there's not a good choice for them. And that's not always possible.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when it's a crunch time. I mean, like we were talking about standing on the objective, protecting the kill more.
Yeah, if they're having to do that for 2 objectives, then all of a sudden, which one is more important? Which one do they save?
Yeah, but I mean, but you can't often threaten that way. Sometimes it's just very like, well, if I kill this thing, then I get the extra bonus point. Well, I'm going to do everything I can to prevent you from killing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the bubble wrap thing. Like I need that one sister or 2, 3 wounds. They're down by 3 or whatever. I need the 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. I mean, I think so. This is just going to give you a lot more miracle dice to mess with.
Yeah,
which is neat because you are going to want to be burning things on the opposite. The 1s and 6s to give you to take out your variants. But sometimes you might just need the 3 or the 4, and you're gonna have all of that.
Yeah, and I like that you roll these dice, and it's not guaranteed that you're just going to have a bunch of extra 6s. You may just have some 1s, and 1s. It's rare that you want to roll a 1, right? But there are situations where you want to roll a 1, namely leadership. But they're there, so it'll be a fun mechanic, I think, for sisters to have something neat there to manage and to play with as the game goes on. I think it will be rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one is the Valorous Heart. When a model with this conviction would lose a wound, on a roll 1d6 on a 6, that wound is not lost. In addition, when resolving an attack made with a weapon with an armor penetration characteristic of neg 1 against a unit with this conviction, that weapon has an armor penetration characteristic of 0 for that attack. Whilst a unit with this conviction is under the effects of an Imagifier's Tale of Stoic ability, weapons with our armor penetration characteristic of neg 2 are treated as being 0.
See, I really like that because you're ignoring AP, potentially AP -2 if you got the Magifier there, putting their buff on you as well. But ignoring AP -1 across the board, that takes some of the sting out of your opponent's shooting, right? And it makes your 3-up save a little more reliable.
We didn't explicitly mention this, but the vehicles have the order keyword also.
Right. So that's going to be really fun if, heaven forbid, even your vehicles are there with a -2. So that can cause people to have to dedicate plasma to something that maybe they weren't going to dedicate plasma to.
Well, the plasma doesn't do anything.
The big thing there is that if it's AP -3, there's no negation at all, right?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly right.
Yeah. High AP weapons are still going to have that sting to them, but low AP weapons are not as scary. And, a 3-up sister in cover, if I'm shooting her with bolt rifles, guess what? She's still got a 2-up save.
Bloody Rose. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon or pistol weapon by a model with this conviction, their weapon's armor penetration characteristic is improved by 1 for that attack. In addition, add 1 to the attack characteristics of a model with this conviction during any turn in which they made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention. A little shock assault there.
Yep.
Ebon Chalice. When a model with this conviction would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound on a 5+, the wound is not lost. In addition, when you would perform an act of faith for a model or unit with this conviction, you can first discard 1 miracle dice. If you do, 1 miracle dice you use in that act of faith is considered to be a 6.
So that kind of lets you farm out your junk ones to
get rid of all these 2s.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of a 2 to make this 2 a 6, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty neat if you can't roll over a 4 like me. So
interesting thing here, I haven't seen anything so far that separates miracle dice between orders. So if you have 2 detachments, one's farming the dice for the order of our martyred lady, and then you got an Ebon Chalice just to kind of be the fence for those miracle dice.
Yeah, I didn't see anything else I'm trying to turn back and look and see, but I didn't see anything about your miracle dice only applying to a specific detachment.
Ardent Shroud. When a unit with this conviction advances, it can fire range weapons if it had moved without advancing.
That's fun.
Sacred Rose. When a morale test is taken for a unit with this conviction, no more than 1 model can flee. In addition, after you perform an act of faith for a model or a unit with this conviction, roll a d6. On a 5+, you gain a miracle dice. In addition, when resolving an Overwatch attack made by a model with this conviction, a hit roll of 5 or 6 scores a hit.
It's like they took 7th edition Dark Angels rules and 8th edition Dark Angels rules and rolled them all into the Sacred Rose. And that's fun because a morale test, Grim Resolve with the Dark Angels, like I've experienced it a lot. When you fail that leadership test and you're going to lose models, even within They Show No Fear, especially with more expensive models, points wise, when you lose more than 1, it really hurts, right? So being able to shut that down and only lose 1 from a leadership test, that's really good. And it takes away the fear of larger squad sizes. That's pretty cool there. And then being able to Overwatch on a 5 or 6, you're doubling your Overwatch hits right there. So that's great too.
So if you're building into large squads, like with lots of altars or heavy weapons or whatever.
Yeah, Sacred Rose is a really exciting option for you if you're going to run larger squads.
I like it. Well, we're running out of time here, and we haven't even gotten to the stratagems or the warlord traits and the relics. There's 2 pages of relics in here.
My gosh, yeah. Is this going to be a 2-parter? I think we're going to have to do a 2-parter.
I think we'll do a 2-parter. Only because I don't want to shortchange. Look, when we covered some of the Tyranid stuff, let's just say people were not happy. It's obvious you don't play Tyranids, and I rebutted. I was like, look, what are you taking that's winning? And then there was crickets. I'm like, so you don't know if my advice is good or not.
I don't know whose advice is right now with Tyranids. Poor Tyranid players, man.
They're in a rough spot.
It always feels like GW has it's like who hurt you with Tyranids? Like, so there's somebody somewhere that just got beat down by tier.
Get that army right. It will. Everything will be just fine.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because they have a large model range, and they're something people like. So it's gonna make it. I'm just pointing out that there are a lot of thriving Tyranid players out there that are very passionate about what they're taking, and I haven't played against them in rounds of tournaments for probably a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, because you just don't see them very often anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of on the short end of the stick here, and even then they're not the darkest horse pick for what may win a major tournament. Sisters of Silence are. That's.
I tried to convince my buddy the other day just to build a pure Inquisition army. I said, just do it, man. I said, your dice can't get any worse. Just play Inquisition. I said, you'll win best in faction every time.
But I'm not a Sisters player. I mean, obviously we're reading some of this stuff, but I can look and I can give it a fair assessment. I think of what is competitive or what is efficient in an army list, and that's we get asked all the time, like how do you go through a codex and find what your initial first picks are? Everything needs playtesting. You got to get out there and ground pound it. But I look for things that are efficient or have some type of innate redundancy or reliability built into them, and I've tried to hit that with what we talked about here with the Sisters tonight. But there is a lot left to cover, especially with the stratagems and everything else, and I want to get some insight from people out there, because this codex has been in people's hands for a long time, or for weeks now, several weeks, because of the box set. So I want to hear what people are playing and what's working for them and what they're most excited about with these new releases.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just excited to see them on the table. Anytime we can diversify the field of 40k, I'm excited. So we've got plastic sisters, guys. I honestly never thought this was going to happen. So, the past how long we've been since they announced, probably about a year, I guess, right? Since it was announced. Was it 2 years ago when we got the announcement? It's finally here. There's so many people out there who I've got to kind of call BS on, because that was always their thing. Oh, I'm going to wait to play 40k when they finally do plastic sisters. That's when I'm really going to get in the game. And so I'm going to go find those guys.
Bring them out.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, you got called out, buddy. So I'm just excited. My wife, who has no desire to play Warhammer, Paul, is building a sisters army, and she got the box that came out, and boy, she is slow putting her models together. But she's
not a race.
No, and that's the thing. To me, it is, but for her, it's not. She'll sit down and start working on them, and she's meticulous, and they're beautiful. You would think she's been putting models together for years, because she's so anal, really, about. She's just a very detail-oriented person, and she's taking her time, but she's having fun. And so my wife is now a Warhammer player, which I never thought I would say. So thank you, sisters, for doing that, I guess. We'll see.
Hey, man,
I don't think we'll get her to too many tournaments.
That speaks to you, no matter what it is. That's awesome. But I don't want to necessarily, I do want to hear what the people's opinions are, what they're playing with, and what's working for them. And we'll work all that into our next episode, where we'll go over some of the stuff. And I may put some of the hotter stratagems in the show notes, just to whet people's appetite, I guess. But real quickly before we wrap up, I want to talk about hobby tools, if I can. This is like almost finishing moves segment.
Okay.
Because we get a lot of questions sometimes about what tools people absolutely need to get into the hobby.
A hobby knife.
Yes.
It's in the name. It's in the name. You're in the hobby. Get a knife.
Get a hobby knife. Well, I think you need a good set of side clippers.
Yep.
I think you need a good hobby knife. And this is cheap stuff. You don't have to get the premium type. You can go to Harbor Freight, Hobby Lobby, use your 40% off coupon. Just go grab, But you need a good pair of side clippers. The clippers that, that have the flat edge on one side and a beveled edge on the other side.
Yeah. Don't go down into your toolbox because you're like, oh yeah, I got a set of clippers. Don't pull your old wire cutters out or something. Come on. I knew a guy who used that, like a big old pair too. And it just looked like an electrician. They were trying to wire up a light switch but he's got models in his hands, you know?
And it sort of made me think about this because you said the meticulous way your wife is putting her models together, and you front load your work on your models and you will make them look a lot prettier. Like every step you take in putting your models together with care will make the painting process easier, and that means you get nicer looking results. And so you can put a lot of time into this initial thing with the right tools, inexpensive tools. Then it gives you a nice base to work off of.
Hey, I've got a question, and I've never seen one. But one hobby tool I like, and I hate to recommend it to beginners because it is a little pricey, but it is so good, is that Citadel mold line remover.
Yes.
Because
every penny.
I typically just turn my hobby knife sideways and use that, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same, and it does take an element of skill and familiarity with the hobby knife to do that without causing little nicks or anything, right? And the mold liner, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But is there a cheaper version out there? Because, somebody getting into the hobby and getting into all this, it's hard to tell them to go spend, what are those things? Like $15? Something like that?
Maybe a little bit more. But let me tell you, the generic one is only a couple of dollars cheaper.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there a generic one? And where did you get it?
There is, and you can buy that. I think they're called like seam scrapers or something. I think that's what they're like the real product name for them. But the generic one is in that instance, it's only a couple of dollars cheaper. I think because it's like a heavy, thick piece of metal.
It's got to be just like it's got to be precisely cut because it's not sharp. So it's that angle, which is what's giving you that. So I guess maybe there's some tolerance in there or something that.
And there's probably some science as to why it works better than just your blade, your X-Acto knife or whatever.
Yeah.
There probably is, right? But that is worth it. That's like level 2. I think that's the next thing you get if you want to up your initial like build game is getting a seam scraper.
Yeah. I think so when it comes to assembly, right? You're going to get your clippers, your hobby knife, and your glue, right? That's like the things you have to have. And then your next thing is going to be a mold line remover, like maybe a small file set or some, sanding paper.
You're going way over the mark.
No, like some little files. I would say the next thing to get after your cutters, your cutters, your knife, and your glue. That's level 1, right? That's like gotta have those. And then after that, I think your mold line remover and a small little file set to clean up some stuff.
What the file set is good for is when you do have two pieces of like plastic that are next to each other that you didn't get the cleanest join that you like, whatever you see a little ridge, you can file that down. If something is too fine to get, a good cut on or whatever, or the mold line remover in there, sometimes a little file, like they've got these files that are built almost like they're kind of triangular in shape.
That's the one I use the most, is that little triangle shaped file. I use that one more than any other file I have.
Yeah, get down in there. Yep.
Yeah, the round one never seems to get where I need it to be, and the flat one is always too big. And I've just got this little tiny triangle one, and that has somehow become my go-to file.
And before you always miss a mold line. You always miss, and like when you're painting, there's always one more purity seal. When you're assembling, there's always one more mold line.
I just did that with purity seals 2 nights ago. I just did that. I was like, ha, done. Crap, purity seal. And you can't just not paint a purity seal. It's right there. I was so mad.
No, yeah, someone will like, oh, what happened with that one? What'd you do that one for?
No, it's a silver purity seal. That means he did extra good.
So before you after you've assembled your models and you think you have them perfect, do one more sanity check before you prime your models.
Yeah, because you know what? As soon as you don't find it, you put a wash on, and that wash finds it.
Yeah,
because you have a nice non-oil straight line down the side of your model.
The prep work. That's why it's a pre-finishing move segment. Yeah.
There you go.
Get there, man.
It's a beginning moves.
Yeah. Well, Ricky, thanks for joining me tonight.
All right. When I fall asleep at school tomorrow, my students have you to blame. But yeah.
You can tell them to call me.
Yeah.
But join us next week for part 2. Tips and tricks. Don't forget to tell us how your armies are working with this new codex out there. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
puts baby in the corner.